Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to my lunch break. It's been a really crazy week. I want to take a few minutes and kind of talk to you guys, though, about Disney trip planning. Now, one of the most exciting times for me of a Disney trip is when you're actually planning it, working out when you're going to be there, what you're going to do, what you're going to eat, the things you're going to ride. All that is just fun and exciting and is part of the whole thrill of actually going to Walt Disney World. One of the things that I kind of wanted to start with as we're going to be setting up this series of videos on trip planning is kind of starting with my ground rules that I try to give folks when I'm helping them plan. It's kind of like the cardinal doctrine that if you can follow these steps, you're going to have a successful trip. And it may not be what you're thinking. So as we're looking at planning and trying to figure out what we're going to do, really the very first thing that you want to do is say to yourself, I can't do everything. Walt Disney World's 43 square miles. You've got 3 theme parks. You've got 2 water parks. I forget how many resorts, but there's a crap ton of places to stay and things to do and things to see and shows and rides and attractions, and you're just not going to get to everything. So if you start with understanding that I can't do everything, it's going to make it easier with your trip to not be quite as disappointed if something doesn't work out. The next thing that you're going to want to do is make a plan. I kind of put this out as a 3-step process. To be successful at Disney, you have to make a plan, you have to follow your plan, and you have to abandon your plan. Now that makes absolutely no sense when you first hear it, but let me kind of explain what I'm talking about. The first thing is making a plan. The worst thing that you can do is show up on property or show up in a park with absolutely no idea of what you're going to do next. That's really when you start looking at the number one mistake that people make during their first trip. That's going to be it. You really want to have an idea of how your week's going to pan out before you ever get there. Now, you don't have to plan every single second of every single minute, but you should have a basic outline of which parks you're going to go to, where you're going to eat. You really want to get your fast passes set up ahead of time. So you need that plan and you need to have it all mapped out. The second part of sticking with a plan is that you really don't want to deviate too much. If you wake up and you're just not feeling in the mood for Epcot and you decide to go to Magic Kingdom, that's great, but the problem is you're not going to have fast passes, you're not going to have dining reservations, and it might throw off things. So the more you can stay with what you've planned out, the more successful you're going to be. It takes some of the stress off of you of having to try to figure out what we're going to do today. Now, there are times we need to go back and pick up an attraction that you missed, or maybe something was, a show is there, or something's happening that you weren't aware of that you need to pick up. And so there is some leeway with that, and that kind of gets into our final thing of abandon the plan. Now, I don't mean that the second you walk into the gates, you pitch the plan out the window and you never come back to it again. What I mean is, as you're at the parks, especially if you have kids, be willing to see moments happening and adjust your schedule to allow them to happen. Let me give you an example of this. The very first time I took my girls to Walt Disney World, they were 5 years old and 7 years old. And I had things planned out fairly strict on what we were going to do, and we only had a certain amount of days there, and we were going to follow this regimented plan. Well, our first night there, we started off at the day at Magic Kingdom, and then we went over to Chef Mickey's. And if you've ever done Chef Mickey's at dinner, you know it's not something you just get in and out of quickly, especially a few years ago. I think Disney's a little better about trying to kick you out the door, but we were probably hitting the 2.5 hour mark, and I was already getting antsy to go back to the parks. And my youngest daughter kind of saw that we were about to leave, and she got really upset because she had missed Minnie Mouse. Minnie had been to our table, but she had to go with her mom down to the restroom, and she came back and she had missed her. And just the thought of missing Minnie, she was just about to lose it. And I was like, well, it's the first day of our trip. We can find Minnie another time. And I'm kind of going through my mind what I'm going to say to her to talk her out of this place. And then it just kind of hit me. I'm not here for me. I'm here for them. And so I was like, all right, we'll wait until Minnie comes back. And we waited and we waited. And it was probably a good 30 minutes before Minnie came back to our table. But when Minnie came back to our table, that little girl's eyes lit up like I had never seen them light up before. She was glowing. She was happy. The rest of the night, she talked about meeting Minnie. The rest of that week, she talked about meeting Minnie. When we came back from vacation and we told people we'd been at Disney World, she talked about meeting Minnie. And so because I was able to deviate from that plan, we had this magical moment, something that she still talks about to this day. She's 15 years old, she still remembers meeting Minnie. And so have a plan, try to stick to it, but watch for those magic moments. Watch for those times when things aren't quite going according to plan, when you can adjust, and be willing to make the adjustments. And you'll find that not only is your trip going to be less stressful, but you're going to experience some things that you might not otherwise experience. As far as some tools to kind of help get in that trip planning mode, I usually start off with a couple of different guides. The Unofficial Guide by Lynn Testa is definitely one I highly recommend. I use it a lot. The Burn Bonds guide is kind of the official guide. It gets panned a lot by Disney fans. I like it just because of the pictures in it. It kind of gets me in the Disney mood. I don't know that I take a lot of advice out of it, but if you've never been, the Burn Bonds guide is really a good book to have because of it's very interactive. It's got lots of pictures, so that's always a good one to have. And then the one that I would recommend the most is touringplans.com. Now, Touring Plans doesn't pay me. They aren't a sponsor. I don't get anything for sending by anyone to their website, but I recommend them to every single person that I ever plan a trip for. Here's the reason why. When we went in 2014, we went on the week of July 4th, and it was insane. If you've never been to Disney World on the 4th of July, let me tell you, it will test your patience. It is crowded, it is hot. I mean, it's a mess. But it's also an amazing time to be at the parks. The fireworks are unlike anything I've ever seen in my life. Not just on the 4th, but on the days prior to it. And in order to kind of get through this chaos, I bought a subscription to Touring Plans, and it worked out fantastic. The wait times were more accurate than the ones on the MDE, and what really came into play for us were the actual plans that you can build. You can go in and pick a park and say, I want to ride this attraction, this attraction, this attraction, and this attraction. You put them into their system. You tell them what day you're going. You tell them what time you're going to be there. You tell them how late you're leaving, when your meals are scheduled for, what your fast passes are, and it will spit back out a plan that says, okay, tour in this order, go here, and then when you're done, go here, go here. And at the time, I never really thought, well, we're not standing in line, but at the end of the day, on the days that I used them and was very religious about using them and we stuck to it, we got so much more done than on days when I was just kind of winging it and doing my own thing. So I would definitely say use Touring Plans. The neat thing about it is if you have your own custom plan that you've created, as you're going through the park, you're checking things off, and you can re-optimize, and it will look at the current crowd level and it'll resend you somewhere. If you miss something, you just don't check it off. You can re-optimize and go see it later. And so it kind of falls into that. I'm having a plan and I'm sticking with it, but I'm also have some flexibility there. So if I want to jump in and do another attraction, I can. And instead of having this printout that I have to try to figure out what to do with now, because it's on the phone, you just hit re-optimize, shuffles everything around, and you're back in business. You can keep on going on the Touring Plan. So I highly recommend them. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Hope you guys have a great week. We're going to have some more planning tips coming up pretty soon, but I think next week we're going to do a Disney fix. I've got one that I've kind of been working on it. It's a little bit different, so hopefully it'll work out, but I'm excited for it. Hopefully you guys will be too. Make sure you give us a like below. Make sure you subscribe. Tell everybody about us. Thank you so much for being here. We're almost at 100 subs, and that is amazing to me. It means the world. I appreciate you guys very, very much for that. And I hope you have a great weekend. Take care, y'all.